most of our text on this home page in our last video, and we're still linked to that history site through Dreamweaver. We are working our index or home page. It's listed up here in this tab. We are in the live view. Let's go to the code view. We're going to make some changes to this website, to the text, using some simple CSS styling. CSS styles can affect images, text, all kinds of different things. We can change colors, change background images, alignment, fonts. So let's get started and do some changes. Now today we're going to put all these changes on the actual page, all these CSS codes in the actual page. Eventually in projects coming up we will put all the CSS code on a separate sheet, a separate document. So let's click to the right in our head section. Let's click to the right of titles, hit enter. I'm going to paste this in here. That was already typed. I've already typed out. And I would like you to retype this bit of code here in your website. You can pause the video if you want. Put a little extra space in here so you can focus on it a little better. You should type in this style opening and closing tag. That's where all the properties are going to be saved and all the styles are going to be saved. Each of these different styles is called a selector or a selector. You see this is going to be an H2 style, so it's going to affect my H2 text. We have global styles. If it's just the H2, no period or hashtag before it, it's going to affect all the H2 on my web page, which is fine. I want it all to be formatted the same, which you should have consistency. So I have my H2 with a space, squiggly brackets for the opening and closing. Make sure you type everything exactly the same spaces and everything. After squiggly bracket, hit enter. Type in color, colon, space. I use a dark olive green color. Now that's a name of a color. Some colors have names, but all colors have hexadecimal codes. We'll look at that in a second. Hexadecimal means 6 numbers or letters or combination. We change the font family. Now for font family, you put the colon, hit a space, and just type in this first font here. And we'll look at that in a second. Capital Cambria. Now if you're only going to type that first font, make sure you put this semicolon at the end. Notice the end of each property, these are called properties, the end of each property line has a semicolon to complete that line of code. Also change the alignment. Text dash align colon space center, no caps, and semicolon. And then this is all closed with that squiggly cap and then that closing style tag. So pause your video and type all this out. Okay, now let's look at the live view. When I click back to live view, you can see the fonts change, the colors change, and it's aligned center. Well, you can type all these different properties by hand. There's a lot more you can add. Or Dreamweaver makes it pretty easy. Well, somewhat easy, using the CSS design panel. Now, before we get to the CSS designer, let's talk about the files panel, which opens automatically. If you don't see your files panel here or files window, you can go up to Windows and click on files window up there. What files panel does is let you access your site, your images folder, and your different pages out here. Right now we just have the index page. You can move them around, open them. Now we shouldn't move them around, but you could, and you can open them and stuff like that. Now let's go back to CSS Designer, back to our CSS styles. We can always type them in by hand, but once we have them, we can always come over here and adjust them. I can click them on the live view, H2, and if I come here to my CSS Designer, go to current, it'll show me the selector I have selected, the H2. And it'll show me some properties. Now, if it has show set checked, it'll only show me the properties that are already applied. You can see those here. But I want to see all the available properties, so let's uncheck show set. And it shows me I can have text properties, I can have layout properties, positioning, padding, and things like that. Text, border, I can put border in some of my text, background colors, background images, and others. Let's go to text selections, my text options. There's my color, that dark olive green, which works pretty good for my nature website. But if you don't like that, you can click on there and select all kinds of different colors by using the slider. Alright, you can get a nice hot pink. Can't go wrong with hot pink. I've tried. No, I don't know. Just kidding. Alright, green. I like these nice nuclear greens, Scooby-Doo greens and purples. Those are fun. I can go back to that sort of that olive drab color. I like that. And you can see a lot of all these colors have a hexadecimal code down here. Hashtag with 6 numbers or letters or combination. Once you get used to once you really buckle down some of your color schemes, you can write down some of these codes so you use those codes over and over. If I want to select a color from out here on my website, I can click this eyedropper and sort of select any of these colors out here, even these blue colors that don't even show up in the website, even not from the Dreamweaver interface. But I think I'm going to keep the color I have, which is right here. There we go. Hit enter when you're done with that color. Here's my font family. I kept it on Cambria. If you want to change that, I can select any of these other fonts. These are some of your basic fonts. Why is there so many in a row? Well, let's talk about fonts for a little bit. We have 2 main types of font, serif and sans serif. Serif fonts has these little endings, little additions or serifs at the top and bottom of most of the letters. Sort of older style textbook lettering. Those are serif. Sans serif, like Gil Sans, Impact, Lucida, have none of those additions at the top and bottom. They're more modern style lettering. And now let's look at text align. It is aligned center. I can align it right, justify, or left. I think I'm going to keep it aligned left for now. Let's look at some of the other things we can do with the text. I can change the font style, normal, italic, or oblique. I'm going to do oblique. Font variant, normal, small caps. I'm going to leave it normal. Leave it the way it is. Font weight, leave that the way it is. Font size. Now you can change it according to M, according to points. I'm going to do this one according to pixels since we're sort of familiar with pixels. Right now it's at 0. I can click and type those numbers in. And I'm going to highlight that 0. Maybe make this one 30 pixels. Good, I like that a little bit bigger. I can indent the text if I'm not going to. And this is pretty fun. I can add a text shadow. So I click here and increase the text shadow a little bit. Now it's going to do the actual, by default it does the same color as the text. I can change that color to maybe a black. So I can get a nice little text shadow there. If it feels a little too strong, I can blur out that black shadow, make it a little more real. Make it feel a little more realistic. Like a realistic shadow. If it's too dark, it feels too strong, maybe I can do more of a gray color here. Here we go. I may have to lighten my green a little bit. Go up to my text. That might make it pop out a little bit more. I can make that text. A good thing about Dreamweaver does sort of that live adjustments there, so I can see it. And clicking on this number, holding it, and dragging back and forth, I can quickly adjust those sizes. I think that looks pretty good. I can see all my H2 is affected by those changes. Maybe I want to do some of these changes for my H1. I could highlight all that code, copy it to the right of that styles, and paste. Okay, there's my H2. I already have an H2, so let me make this an H1. And I could change some of these. I could change some of these manually. I can change the size of my font to 50 pixels. I could even change the text shadow if I wanted to. Make it a little stronger. I could change the font, change the color from this side. Now if you're not experienced with that, you can go to the live view. Click here. CSS, current, select there's H1. Make sure show set is off. And I can change everything through this interface here also. Then you can see the changes pretty much live as a current H2 text properties. I think that color needs to be just a little bit brighter. Not too bad.